Good morning, everybody. As someone who was a fan of Ashley since week one on this very channel, I can't not make a video talking about her win last night. I had fun doing a live with y'all watching it live, but let's talk about this win real quick. This is for fellow Ashley fans and even the Ashley haters, maybe even especially the Ashley haters. We all witnessed Ashley's win last night. She came away with the victory in Big Brother 27, and I, of course, couldn't be happier because anyone that has watched me all season, you know that Ashley was my girl. From my very first video of the season, detailing the first episode, I was talking about Showergate and how I didn't trust the edit because you can never trust the edit on this show. And then, what do you know? Ashley wasn't taking a long shower. Everybody was over exaggerating, even though the episode itself tried to say it was a 2-hour shower. But it turns out that was a lie, which I guess was a theme for the rest of the season, with the editing this season being a lot of lies, not a whole lot of accuracy. And then the minutes the feeds turned on, I could not root for Ashley. I couldn't root against Ashley. When it comes to reality TV, and when it comes to Big Brother live feeds especially, I have to root for entertaining people, especially with the feeds, because someone on the feeds has to keep the feeds entertaining. And those first few weeks, it was definitely Ashley. Ashley was not afraid to tell people some wild stuff to their faces. Way back with the Zach, Lauren, Morgan love triangle, Ashley had some funny moments teasing Morgan, teasing Zach, talking some shit about how Zach and Lauren should kiss. But then, soon after that, we also got to see Ashley's game. And she was a gamer too. Losing Amy was huge for Ashley's game because Amy had some pretty bad reads at times, and they would infect Ashley's mind as well, and infect Ashley's reads. But without Amy, Ashley's reads were some of the best you will ever see in a game like this. Literally, I have never seen a player on Big Brother live feeds have consistently great, almost perfect reads like Ashley did this entire past season. And so if any casuals out there are confused or upset that Ashley beat Vince in a final two, first of all, it was a win for Social Game. At the end of the day, no matter what these dumbass producers of the show will try and make you believe, as much as they will try and turn this into a terrible version of the challenge, when even the challenge will edit better social games than this show these days. But Ashley winning was definitely a huge victory for Social Game, and it once again reminds everybody that on Survivor, on Big Brother, and even the challenge to an extent, social games matter more than almost anything else. For the people saying Ashley is a floater, we must really, I guess, actually try and understand what a floater is. What is really a floater? People don't seem to know what a floater is anymore. And ironically, Rachel is a big part of the reason for that, because on her season, Floaters Grab a Life Fest, she was talking about some people that weren't floaters. But a floater on Big Brother is someone that floats to power or floats between alliances. Now this season, there were not any real alliances, so really hard to be an actual floater this season. So the only way someone could be a floater this season was to float to power. Vince is someone who tried to do that early in the season, but I wouldn't call him a floater by the end. The only person that really floated all season is Ava. At times because her game was only pure social game. But even she didn't necessarily float to power. She didn't have a strategy. She floated to people that she liked Will was another one that would tell people what they want to hear, especially when they were in power. But by the end, Will was part of making the judges with Ashley. And if you're in an alliance, you're not a floater. And thus, when Ashley and Will made the judges, it's more evidence of them not being floaters. I need certain Big Brother fans with low IQs to realize that not winning comps does not make you a floater. I'm going to repeat that. Not winning comps does not make you a floater. And I know the edits on this show, it's just brain rot at this point. So I kind of can't blame some people to not actually know what a floater is anymore, to not even really understand the game and actually learn what's going on. So I can't blame some people for that. But not winning comps does not make you a floater. There's so many different ways to play the game. I feel like at this point in Big Brother lore, because we've had so many bad seasons for a long time now, not a lot of great gamers for a long time now, people think the only way to play the game is win competitions, be a comp beast, or what else? I really don't even know what casuals think a good player is anymore, because that seems to be the only thing casuals think is good players. But you're not a floater if you're not floating between alliances or floating from power to power each week, being all up in the HOH room, no matter who's HOH, which is why I said Ava sometimes this season would try and be a floater. Same with Will. And it's crazy because this term only plagues this damn show, and I do blame Rachel for that. On Survivor, an always valuable strategy is to keep yourself safe by having shields in front of you. Shields making sure that you always are with enough people, and certain people have bigger targets than you. You want to make sure sometimes that those targets stay in the game. And I talked about this. This was Ashley's game in the middle of the season. Keeping people like Mickey around, even though she was having a hard time working with Mickey because Mickey was going wild with her ego. She still wanted to keep Mickey around as long as she could because she was a target in front of her. It's a very viable strategy. Certainly not floating. More importantly, going way back to week 3, not that the show showed this, of course, on the edit, but Ashley is the one that helped make herself not be nominated on Lauren's HOH when Lauren was indecisive about who to put as a renom between Adrian and Ashley. Ashley fought to stay off the block. I talked about it on the videos on this channel during that week. She fought so hard, that's when I really started to respect Ashley as a gamer. So I started to love Ashley because she was a great character on the feeds. But quickly, a few weeks in, it turned out she was a great player, starting way back in week 3, especially after losing the dead weight that was Amy. And as the weeks went by, she kept herself off the block. Yes, she had help from Mickey, who went to bat for her sometimes. She had help from Morgan, who went to bat for her sometimes. But that's also evidence of a great social game. When you have people in the game going to bat for you to keep you off the block, it means you're doing something right as an ally. Julie Chen's Zingbot tried to say that Ashley was just hiding behind Rachel, just following Rachel around. And yeah, sometimes she was hiding behind Rachel as a shield in front of her, part of her strategy. But on the feeds, Ashley had some great reads that Rachel had to listen to. Ashley and Will are the ones that created the judges to make that happen in the first place. And yeah, Morgan eventually loved that and ran with it. But that is something that Ashley wanted to happen. Ashley wanted to make sure she was close to Vince too. Ashley wanted to make sure she was safe on different sides. Play the middle. It was a great decision on Ashley's part because by Final 3, Vince was another one that felt like he had to show the jury that he was loyal to some people, and that happened to be the judges allegedly. At the Final 3, Ashley basically guaranteed a spot at Final 2 when she won Part 2 of the HOH, and then spent all this past weekend convincing Morgan that Morgan had to cut Vince and take her to Final 2 because Morgan would have a harder time beating Vince, even though that wasn't the case, but she still convinced Morgan otherwise. But that didn't matter anyway because Ashley won Part 3 of the final HOH, becoming the final HOH, proving That is not how much you win, but it's when you win competitions. Winning that first veto to keep herself safe when she was the house target. She was the house target week 1, makes final 3, wins final HOH, takes that first HOH that put her up on the block the first week, beats him in a final 2. Poetic justice. Couldn't have it. It couldn't be better, honestly, for me. Taking Vince, who played a very sloppy game and wasn't taking ownership of his game to jury, was the right move. And at the final 2, Ashley got to really show how smart and well-spoken she is. Those speeches, those answers to the questions, she destroyed them. Nobody has answered some of those final questions on this show better than Ashley did at that final 2. The turning enemies into allies line was so good. Just so good. Not only to explain something she did at times this season to stay off the block, but to show the difference between her game and Vince's game. Vince literally turned allies into enemies. And you can't do that the whole season in a social game. Then especially not own that at the end like Vince didn't do. Vince tried in his final speech to finally own something, but it was too little too late because he flunked the questions asked to him prior at the finale last night. Unnecessary lies, just bad gameplay. It's sloppy. Because why? Hopefully you're learning. I'm trying to be Professor Nick today. I'm trying to make low IQ casuals, Ashley haters actually learn something about the game today. Why these are social games. Hope you're paying attention. Hope you're learning something. As Morgan said in her exit interviews, she knew that Ashley cooked Vince in those answers and kind of gave him a pity vote. So Ashley could have won unanimously, but she won 6-1. Still a great win. And so to end this season was a win for Social Game. A win for being smart and not delusional, unlike so much of this cast was. It was also a loss for production, per usual, who had a very bad twist. And then that twist that is the mastermind turned it into a cringy edit at the finale. But it was also a loss for production because it showed, once again, that they cannot edit games. They spent so much time trying to build Keanu up, trying to not show how delusional and bad socially he was. And Ashley's great social game got lost in the shuffle. Her strategy got lost in the shuffle. But Ashley winning a social game by a social game in a season with the most competitions ever on this show, an even bigger feat. So casuals can be mad, but at the end of the day, nobody respects casual opinions on this show.